say before we begin this program, and I want to thank you all for being here. Did you all see Long Island Lee in West Seneca yesterday? I think he must have taken a GPS to find where West Seneca was, but he said he was going to keep the Bills for 1,000 years. Let's start with 30, Lee. That's what Kathy Hochul and Mark Poloncarz got us. He loves to talk, this guy. He loves to talk about crime, but he does nothing. And we don't need someone to come to Buffalo and tell us about shootings, do we? Especially a guy who's missed three votes just this past month on crime and gun safety in Congress. He's asleep at the switch. He's doing nothing. What did our governor do? She founded the Interstate Task Force on Illegal Guns, taking 8,000 illegal guns off the street just since January. She made it illegal for somebody who can't even buy a scratch-off lottery ticket to be able to buy a weapon of mass destruction by passing a ban on people under the age of 18. That's the difference between having a record and being someone who just spouts off rhetoric. The other thing he talks about is the economy. Every county in the state of New York is seeing a decrease in unemployment because of this governor. Every county. 50,000 new jobs are coming to Buffalo or coming to upstate New York. 50,000. They didn't go to Texas. And if you listen to our president last night, he said if it wasn't for the leadership of this governor, we may not have landed that Micron deal. That's what Kathy Hochul does for the state of New York. Lee Zeldin talks about cutting taxes. You know, that old chestnut that the Republicans always tell us, we're going to cut taxes, and they never tell us where they're going to cut taxes. But we know where they're going to cut taxes. They're going to cut taxes for the wealthy, like they always do. We're not going to let that happen. And then Lee Zeldin tells us, geez, you know, there's nothing I can do about abortion in the state of New York. I'm not going to tinker with it, right? Where have we heard that before? The Supreme Court, that's where we heard that. It's settled law. We're not going to do anything. Should we have trusted them? No. Should we trust Lee Zeldin? No. That's right. That's right, we shouldn't trust Lee Zeldin. So I just want to conclude. I hope I'm not supposed to vamp, and if I am, I can't see you anyway. We have a simple choice to make. We've got some terrific folks coming up here. Before you leave, we need you to hit those tables and sign up for a shift tomorrow to help volunteer for us. It's going to be closing strong like we know our friend Kathy Hochul does, that's going to bring this election home for us. We've got to have your help in the next 24 hours. Polls open at 6 a.m. Our Board of Election staff, many of them are here. Let's hear it for those election heroes. Please sign up and help us with that. Now, I'm going to begin our program here. We've got a handful of speakers that you're going to hear before we bring our friend the governor in back to Buffalo to say hello to us one last time before she gets reelected. Our friend, Mayor Willie Rosas, our friend from Dunkirk, he was a county chair for a few minutes, looked at me and was like, I'm done. I don't want to go through all that. But he's a great leader for the city of Dunkirk, somebody that deeply understands his city, a trailblazing leader. Mayor Willie Rosas.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to begin by just giving a quick shout out to our team, our Democratic team from Chautauqua County here in the House today. There's a lot of excitement about this election because we have an opportunity to continue to have a governor that knows and understands our issues here in Western New York. A governor that understands how important to Western New York and New York State our beloved Buffalo Bills are, okay? And I want to say that as the first ever elected Hispanic mayor in New York State history, it is an honor for me to stand before you and tell you that I have worked with our governor. I know her personally. She has become a personal friend to me, and I can say to you that the leaders, the Hispanic leadership across New York State, feel the same way. So we're asking everyone here tomorrow, it's very important that we get the vote out. We don't take anything for granted. We need to get that vote out tomorrow. We work together in doing this. And this rally, there's rallies like this happening across the state. We have a bigger team than we have here. But here, we have a team that's going to work together to get the vote out. That's what we have to do tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, just like Josh Allen, we're going to call a quick audible here. We've got a lot of young, up-and-coming leaders who have been elected in our community across Western New York. And we've got a young leader from Niagara County, the mayor of the city of North Tonawanda, Austin Tylick.
All right, everyone, who's excited for tomorrow's election? So, I have to say I'm very surprised that I was allowed to speak because I am in Niagara County. I had to cross waters to get here, but I can't believe the Democratic energy in Erie County. Let's give it up for all of you out there. Love it. So, I have to be a little selfish for North Tonawanda. Kathy Hochul is a friend of North Tonawanda for many reasons, not just because she cares about public safety, not just because she cares about education, but we are seeing an economic boom in North Tonawanda, and thanks to the $10 million that Kathy Hochul brought in through the DRI, the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. Give it up for Kathy in North Tonawanda. She cares about development. She cares about New York State, so thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, I swear I introduced these two guys, but I want to bring up to the stage our chair from Genesee County, Michael Plitt. Mike, thanks. And I know I introduced him, but he's going to get a second bite at the apple, Chris Borgatti. So it's hard for me to know where to begin with our next speaker. He's guided us through some of the worst storms in our history and through the worst public health crisis in a century. He's endured attacks from the lunatic fringe who think that mandating masks and vaccine is the act of a tyrant instead of someone who has kept us safe and has saved countless lives in our county. I've been at his side in one way or another since 2004, and I'll be at his side for as long as he needs me to be there. I suspect after tomorrow we're going to have a conversation about the future. But I want you to give it up for our friend, our extraordinary leader of our community, our county executive, Mark Poloncarz.
Hello, Buffalo! Woo! We got Buffalo in the house. We got Niagara Falls in the house. I think we got some friends from organized labor in the house. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for those wonderful words. And look at this incredible team that we have up here that we call Buffalo, Erie County, and Western New York leaders. Give it up for everyone that's here. Now, I really don't need to tell you what's on the ballot tomorrow. Our president's been going around and saying tomorrow's election can be an inflection point, which, if you know what inflection point means, it means kind of a change. But in some ways, tomorrow's election can be a point of no return point, because our democracy is on the ballot, not just here in Buffalo, across New York State, and across the entire country. It's as simple as that. And all you have to do is look at the person who's running against our governor, Kathy Hochul, an election denier, who after the storming of the Capitol, after what everyone saw, the horror that was January 6th, went back in and voted to decertify the lawful votes of the people of 3 states. Don't boo. Go vote tomorrow and get everybody you know to vote tomorrow, because it's that important that we elect our governor, Kathy Hochul, to be the first woman governor to have been elected in the state of New York, the first governor from Western New York to have been elected since Grover Cleveland was. And Grover Cleveland wasn't really even a Western New Yorker. He grew up in New Jersey and he died in New Jersey. Well, Kathy Hochul was born in Lackawanna, lived in the shadow of the steel mills in Lackawanna. Then they moved to Hamburg. She's one of us. She served with distinction on the Hamburg Town Council. I had the pleasure to work with her and call her colleague when she was the Erie County Clerk and I was the Erie County Comptroller. I've seen someone throughout her entire career who's been a tenacious fighter for the working men and women of our region. Why? Because she lived that life. She understands what it was like to grow up in our community during very difficult times. The steel mills that used to be the shadows on her house don't exist anymore. Torn down decades ago. She knows what this community went through. She understands the pain that working families face. And when you are in a fight and in a foxhole, trust me, you want Kathy Hochul at your side. The chairman can verify it, and every one of the other individuals on this stage. When we were dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, she was the representative for all of Western New York, and I talked to her pretty much every day about what we were doing and how we were going to coordinate with our partners in Western New York. And then, of course, since August of last year, she has served the people of New York State with pride as our governor. And when I say our governor, I really mean it. She is someone who understands the issues that we deal with in Western New York, just like she understands the issues in Central New York. No governor would have fought for our region, I believe, like she has. Go ask the people in Central New York about the impact that the Micron investment is going to have with tens of thousands of jobs that are created. The investments that she's making in Erie and Western New York are astronomical. Now, I don't think she'll publicly come out and say she's giving us a little more than maybe other areas of the state, but I saw what prior governors did. I used to get the grant things when we'd win grants and say, oh, that's nice. We've gotten a lot of assistance from Governor Hochul because she understands what we need here. And that's not talking about what she and I did together, was to secure the Buffalo Bills for another 30 years. Lee Zeldin doesn't understand our area. It was just a couple weeks ago, he's like, I'm going to renegotiate it. The Bills aren't going anywhere. And he changed his tune. Why did he change his tune? Because we negotiated a great deal for the people of this community, and we're going to be watching the Buffalo Bills at least for the next 3 decades. And that's because Kathy Hochul understands the issues that matter here. So I voted early. How many people voted early? How many people haven't voted yet? How many people haven't voted yet? Oh, we got a lot of early voters here. You know what that means? You got to get 10 more votes tomorrow. You got to get out there. You get your families and friends. You got to talk to the daycare person. You got to talk to that neighbor you don't like talking to. You know that one I'm talking about? Yeah, you got to talk to them and say, you got to get to the polls. They open at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. They close at 9 o'clock. And if we do what I know we will do, we get our people to the polls, not only here in Buffalo, in Niagara Falls, in Jamestown, but across New York State. Call your crazy uncle who lives in the shack in the Adirondacks you haven't talked to in 30 years. Tell him he's got to get to the polls and get out for Kathy Hochul. And when we do that, not only will we be proud to have been part of something that is history-making, our state will be better for it by having someone who stands for democracy and stands for the working men and women of New York State. And that is our great governor, Kathy Hochul. Thank you, everybody. And now it's onward to victory.
Great job. PSA, do not call your crazy uncle and ask him to vote, especially if you haven't talked to him in 30 years, okay? Sorry, Mark. I never overrule you. I want to bring up a couple more elected officials that just came in. Mayor Bob Restino from the city of Niagara Falls. Councilmember Ulysses Wingo from the Maston District. Okay. We're going to have some fun. Everybody having fun? Okay. So, now I'm going to bring someone up, our next speaker, someone who fights tirelessly for working families and knows that what everyone is challenged in Western New York and they've faced in past generations. He's been a lifelong fighter for labor and people who need a voice in government. My senator, he's going to win tomorrow, Sean Ryan! I can't believe this room. I can't believe everyone is out tonight for Kathy Hochul. But you know, we have a lot on the line in this election. The Republicans, they think the rear view mirror is the future. We know better than that. We know that the Democrats want to keep us moving into a bright future. The past doesn't define us. It's what's out the windshield that defines us. And Kathy Hochul knows the future is going straight and bringing New York to a place that it hasn't been before. But we all know Kathy Hochul. We know she's smart. We know she's compassionate. We know she's professional. We know she understands government at every level. She was elected to the town council. She was elected to a county-wide seat. She was elected to a federal seat. And she was elected to be lieutenant governor. We should hire Kathy Hochul to be governor because she is certainly the most qualified. And we know her work ethic. When she was lieutenant governor, she would start in the west in the morning. She'd be at the tip of Long Island by the end of the day. She'd sleep a half a night, get back in her car, and do it all over again. She never stops going back and forth across the state. She smiles, she's polite, but underestimate her at your peril because she is tough, she has steel in her spine, and she is Lackawanna tough. But Kathy remembers the people, and the people remember Kathy. I recently had my car fixed. And the collision guy, I'm not going to tell you why I needed it fixed, but the collision guy said, "Do you know Kathy Hochul?" I said, "I do." He said, 20 years ago, I had a problem with my business, and I asked Kathy Hochul for help. He said, it was at a big event, a lot of people around, and I didn't even know she heard me. He said, the next day, guess who shows up at his business? Kathy Hochul shows up at his business. She fixed his problem, and when I was leaving, she said, "Tell Kathy I got her back, and she's got my vote." Do you have Kathy's back? Do you have Kathy's vote? Kathy is a uniter. She's bringing us all together. Brooklyn, Binghamton, Bath, Buffalo, all together. Have you seen the other guy, what he's up to? He's about pitting community against community, neighbor against neighborhood. No optimism in his ads. It's all the future is grim. Future's not grim. We want to see the future. But Lee Zeldin. That's the guy's name. Yeah, I didn't want to say his name. He wants to take us backwards. He wants the NRA to write our gun laws. Do you want that? No! He wants to slash teachers' pay. He thinks they're paid too much. Do you want that? No! He wants the polluters to write our environmental laws. Is that what you want? No! And then this is the worst. He wants to take away a woman's right to choose. Is that what you want? No! So this is a choice. This is a choice we face. Are we going to go forward with Kathy Hochul? Are we going to unite New York State from east to west and north to south? Are we going to protect the woman's right to choose? Are we going to protect the rights of union workers? Are you going to get out and vote tomorrow? Are you going to get your friends and neighbors out to vote tomorrow? Are you going to get up early in the morning and stay late at night until the polls are closed? Final question. Are we going to elect Kathy Hochul as our next governor? Let's get to work! Great job. Great job, Senator. Now, we are going to bring somebody up who's going to light the world on fire here. Our senator, a champion for Buffalo. Many of you have heard of James Brown, the hardest working man in show business. Well, this is the hardest working man in politics. He's the Sultan of South Buffalo, the Earl of East Buffalo, the Baron of the Black Clubs, the Duke of the Pew, the Count of Cheektowaga, the Lord of the Lanes, the King of the Road, Senator Tim Kennedy. Wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much. Can we have a round of applause for Chairman Jeremy Zeller? Can we have a round of applause for all these great Democrats behind me? Can we have a round of applause for our governor who we're going to get elected tomorrow, Governor Kathy Hochul? Are you ready to continue democracy in New York? Are you ready to get our great governor from Buffalo elected tomorrow? I am so excited to be here with you tonight. I am so excited to stand here with my friends and partners in government, my friends and leaders in the community that have joined us, my fellow Democrats, and everyone from our community that cares about not only Western New York, but cares about our great state and our great nation. We all know what's at stake tomorrow, don't we? I think everybody that came up here before me explained it very clearly. But I got to tell you, as excited as I am, I got to tell you, there's a little bit of nervousness. You want to know why? Because the alternative to our great governor is the most extreme partisan individual that's ever run for governor in the state of New York, and he's not an alternative to our great Governor Hochul, is he? And we're not going to let him get elected over our great Governor Kathy Hochul, are we? Are we going to make sure Buffalo rises to the occasion tomorrow and gets our... Are we going to make sure New York rises to the occasion tomorrow and gets... Are we going to make sure women get out there and have their voices heard tomorrow? Are we going to make sure labor gets out there and has our voices heard tomorrow? Are we going to make sure everyone that cares about the future of our community and our great state gets out and votes tomorrow? Well, I am so excited because I know what's going to happen. I know because of the energy in this room, because of the energy that's been created not just over the last few weeks, but over the last several months, and since Governor Hochul has taken the helm just over a year ago, that we're going to get her over the finish line in grand style tomorrow. We're going to make sure that we continue the investments all across New York State. You know, I've seen firsthand how Governor Hochul operates. I've seen her work day in and day out to deliver record level of funding at every level. Record level of funding for education. Record level of funding for infrastructure. Record level of funding for health care, for child care, for organized labor, for everything that we care about as working families in our community, as blue-collar workers across New York State. Governor Hochul has risen to the occasion. She's at the helm, and she has delivered for New Yorkers of every single walk of life, every single color, every single religious persuasion, every single sexual orientation, every single man, woman, and child across New York State is better off today because Governor Hochul is leading our state. Are we going to keep New York State moving in the right direction? Are we going to get Governor Kathy Hochul elected New York State Governor tomorrow?
sure that we pull the lever, roll Erie all the way for all these amazing Democrats that are standing with me here tonight. Well, I am so excited. Tomorrow, here I'm going to make a prediction. Tomorrow, I'm going to see Governor Hochul and all these great Democrats that care about democracy, that care about moving New York forward, and care about every single person in our community win in Victory Lane. Are you going to see us in Victory Lane tomorrow? Are you going to join us for the party tomorrow? Are you going to join us for the victory tomorrow? Well, I'll be in Victory Lane with Governor Hochul tomorrow, with Congressman Higgins, with Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes, our great partner in government, with Senator Sean Ryan, with all these amazing Assembly members, and we're going to keep up the fight in Albany, and we're going to keep moving New York State forward. Are you with me? Onward to victory. We'll see you in Victory Lane tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.
Told you I was excited. All right, Senator. Now, we've had a lot of important people up here and a lot of big shots, but they all answer to this great leader right now that I'm going to bring up to the stage. It's my honor and privilege to bring up someone who defines leadership here, who defines Buffalo and what it means to be a Democrat. The Majority Leader of the New York State Assembly, Crystal Peoples-Stokes.
And all the work that millions of New Yorkers have done, and the wonderful work that the first woman to be the governor of this state has done in just 400 days, she will be elected governor. Kathy Hochul. I cannot tell you how excited I am. And I know that there's some people, some political pundits, and some media people who want to think that that insurrectionist, who quite frankly is a criminal, should be contesting a woman like Kathy Hochul is almost sickening. But for the fact that Democrats are going to make the difference tomorrow. Are there any Democrats in the room? Is Labor in the room? Are mothers in the room? Are workers in the room? That is a winning combination right there. Add that to her record and as a short-term governor and her record in her previous roles as an elected official, Kathy Hochul is a winner. Kathy Hochul is a winner. And I would defy anybody who would say different. Now, I'm feeling really good about her, so good about her, I've already started reaching out to her people and congratulating them. But that doesn't mean we stop working. Over the last couple of weeks, I would say last couple of months, myself and many of these people standing behind me have been all over the community asking people to get out and vote, particularly doing early voting. And you know what? Some people showed up and some people didn't. But that's okay, because tomorrow, we have a chance to put the nail in the ground for Kathy Hochul. And I gotta feel pretty confident. And I do feel pretty confident that all these great Democrats in the room have already voted. But you know what? You have a phone. Most of you have at least 500 contacts in it or more. Call them, text them. Nobody can be left out of this election. Everybody has to vote. If there's not a vote for these amazing Democrats on the ticket,
beginning with our Governor, Kathy Hochul, then it's a vote for Republicans. This is no time to be voting for Republicans who are a party of confusion. They don't even know who they are anymore. We know who we are. We're a big tent party. We always have been, and we always will be. And our tent is so big now. Our tent is so big now that the leader of the tent happens to be a woman who happens to be from Buffalo. We have got to get her elected. I'm counting on you, Democrats. Can we make this happen? Can we make this happen for Kathy Hochul? Let's go, Buffalo! Let's go!
All right, leader. Okay. So I'm standing here as your chair, and I'm going to let you all in on a little secret. Our party's not always been this united. If you haven't heard that before, it hasn't. But Kathy Hochul unites every single person in this room, in this county. Right now, across the country, we're fighting for the soul of this community, this state, this nation. And this is no time for those who may consider themselves some kind of hyphenated Democrat or some off-brand Democrat. Our next speaker last year had a tough primary night, and he could have walked away, but he didn't. He fought for this community all year long. And I'm glad he did, because we needed him this year. We needed his spirit and his leadership this year. So let's give a big welcome to our mayor, the mayor of the city of Buffalo, Billy Brown.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Zelno, for that great introduction. And thank you, Democrats. We've got some fired up Democrats in this room. We've got Democrats, we've got independents, we've got motivated people to go out and vote tomorrow. And you know what? When I look and listen to all of you in this room, you sound like people that are going to produce a big Governor Kathy Hochul victory tomorrow. And I know a little something about winning elections. Governor Hochul is a winner, she is a worker, and in the short time that she has been governor, she has made great things happen for our state. The budget that she passed with the state legislature this year, more money for education, more money for health care, that's right. More money for the working men and women of this state. More money for infrastructure, because Governor Hochul listens to the people, and what's in the budget that she passed has all the things that people have been asking for in it. Governor Hochul has been there for us, delivering record amounts of money to Buffalo, Erie County, Western New York. Tomorrow, we have to be there for Governor Kathy Hochul. And in one of the darkest times in the history of our community, May 14th, when a white supremacist traveled hours to Jefferson Avenue, to the tops, to kill black people,
Governor Hochul was there by our side in her community. She passed some of the toughest, smartest, responsible gun reforms in the entire nation. Governor Hochul has an opponent. He's been talking a lot about crime, but all he does is talk. No action. Absolutely no action. In fact, in the Congress, he has been an obstructionist. He has been one of those standing in the way of sensible gun reform. You know what? Since May 14th, in Buffalo, there have been over 300 additional mass shootings in this country. Did Governor Hochul's opponent stand up? No. Did he fight to make our streets safer then? No. Did he have the opportunity as a member of Congress? Yes, he did, and he did not do it. He's an election denier. The insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th, when law enforcement officers lost their lives, and members of the United States Congress, Democrats and Republicans, the Vice President of the United States of America, had their lives threatened. Did Governor Hochul's opponent do anything about it? No. In fact, he doubled down and pledged his loyalty to the individual that caused the insurrection in the first place. So let's not be fooled by millions and millions of dollars of dark money. We don't even know where all this money is coming from. Let's not let our family, our friends, our neighbors get fooled. He's not a crime fighter. Governor Hochul's opponent is a crime faker. Talk. That's all he does is talk. Now, all of you here are voters. That is your superpower. Your vote makes a difference. And tomorrow, I want you to not only be voters, but I want you to be mathematicians. I want you to multiply the votes that are going to come out for Governor Hochul. So don't just go to the polls yourself. Take a family member, take a friend, take a coworker, take a church member. Let's make sure that tomorrow we turn out in record numbers to elect our great governor, Kathy Hochul, governor of the state of New York. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Judge Wilson asked if I was having all the Democrats to my house for Thanksgiving this year, so I think we might. So now I'd like to ask everyone to leave the stage. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Sorry. Yeah, I know. He's going to introduce it. Let's hear it for the Democrats. Let's hear it for the leaders of our community. You're still invited for Thanksgiving. Good to go? Okay, so now I'm going to introduce the man who is going to be introducing the governor. He does not need an introduction. Somebody who's been fighting like hell for our community and fighting for his friend Kathy Hochul like I've never seen him campaign before. Our congressman, the architect of our economic renaissance. I'm proud to say I was with him on day one, and it's been an honor to be the chair of this committee under the Higgins era. Congressman Brian Higgins.
This party has never been more united. It's united under our great chairman, Jeremy Zellner. "14 months ago, Kathy Hochul took the office of New York governor and at the same time had to prepare for a primary and a general election. In that 14 months, Governor Hochul defeated two primary rivals with 68% of the vote. She signed 400 bills into law, including tough new gun laws. She championed the fight against climate change, for better child care and affordable housing. And she's made sure a woman's right to abortion remains enshrined in New York state law. She can hear you. She can hear you. Governor Hochul negotiated a $220 billion budget with record infrastructure funding, tax cuts for working families, small businesses, and homeowners. And she made sure that the Buffalo Bills remain here in Buffalo to stay. At the end of the budget process, when others were ready to call it a day, Governor Hochul summoned the legislative leaders to address the issue of crime, gun violence, and tough laws for violent and repeat offenders. She stood her ground to protect New Yorkers concerned with crime. Tough, firm, but fair, Governor Kathy Hochul's resolve is showing results. After 6 months, let's hear it. After 6 months, homicides and shootings are down dramatically from before she became governor a little over a year ago. More than 8,000 guns are off New York streets. She has a plan to make streets, sidewalks, and subways safer and cleaner. She is spending more than any governor in the history of New York on good, modern policing and effective and fair law enforcement and crime prevention. And speaking of crime prevention and safe communities, and you need to listen to this, Governor Hochul's opponent in a dramatic campaign conversion, in a New York Times article 3 weeks ago, said he now believes President Biden's win was legitimate and sought to minimize his role in trying to overturn the election. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be very clear. I was there. I voted to certify the fairest, most transparent presidential election in American history. Lee Zeldin did not, in a flip-flop to rival all flip-flops, Lee Zeldin joined 146 other Republicans in the House seeking to overthrow the victory in key states, the Biden victory in key states. Text messages and other relevant evidence shows that Lee Zeldin was a key player in the attempt to overthrow the election and our democracy on January 6, 2021. Let's talk about that pro-police thing that he's been yapping about for weeks. On January 6, 138 Capitol Police officers were severely injured. 4 dead on or because of the trauma of that day.
You can't be pro-police when you support a guy who turned an armed insurrection on the police. There were only two sides on that awful day. On the one side, there were those defending the Capitol. Those defending the Capitol Police. That's the side Governor Kathy Hochul has always been on. The other side, there were those supporting the violent insurrection, the attack on the Capitol, and the police that protect the Capitol. The choice is clear, compelling, and complete. Kathy Hochul is a happy warrior. The 19th century poet Wordsworth wrote about. She is a public servant who is undaunted, unafraid, and cheerful even in the face of great adversity. She is brave always in uncertain and perilous times, clear in her thinking and her vision. She is a light out of the darkness. She is happy in the fight because it is a good fight. A good fight for her home state and for her people of that state. She's a daughter and granddaughter of steel workers. She's a wife, a mom, a grandmother. She's tough as hell, and she's our governor. In this storied place, in this beautiful room, in this beautiful city with these wonderful people, we need to deliver a victory for Kathy Hochul. There are 134,000 more Democrats in Erie County than there are Republicans. The cavalry cannot stay at home. Kathy Hochul is facing up to a very, very stiff challenge. Not because of her. She has every gift that you would want in an elected official. But the money's coming in from the outside, from the inside, and from the dark side. They're trying to vilify her in a way that I believe is impossible. But none of that will matter unless this community, the community that she loves more so than anything else, the community that she has served as admirably as anybody else, comes out and delivers a victory for her. She is our hometown girl. She is our friend. She is our colleague in government. And she is a good person from a good family doing an outstanding job under the most difficult of circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you our current and our next governor of New York State, the Honorable Kathy Hochul.
Looks like a girl, but she's a flame. So bright she can burn your eyes.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you. Buffalo, I love you. This is real Buffalo. That's what we call it here, Buffalo, right? I am so humbled to stand before you and have heard the voices of so many great leaders talk about what we've done And I'm grateful to them, I'm grateful for their service, and I'm grateful for the Democratic Party of Erie County and all of our neighboring county chairs are here. I thank them for traveling. I thank Congressman Brian Higgins, who sat with me in Congress during some tough times. We always said to each other, let's just be happy warriors. And we were, and I thank him for everything he has done for me. County Executive Mark Poloncarz, we've worked together for many, many years in the trenches. Mayor Byron Brown, who showed us what true courage was in the face of adversity. Crystal Peoples-Stokes, who made history herself, the daughter of Buffalo, leading our assembly. Senator Tim Kennedy, who is tireless in his pursuit of working hard for everyday working men and women. All of my friends in the Assembly, the Senate, and of course, Peter DeJesus. I want to thank AFL-CIO and all the members of labor who are here. I thank my family, my beloved husband, Bill, who I met when we were just Assembly interns, having a little sneaking off to lunch together in the Donovan building. Kept that love alive. It's over 40 years. 40 years. I thank him. Thank you. Two children. My daughter Katie's here. Her husband Matt. I thank them. This is their 7th wedding anniversary. It's how you. This girl and her brother Billy have been campaigning for me since she was 4 years old. So don't write the book anytime soon, darling. Just say it was all good, right? My sister Sheila's here, who's shared an attic bedroom with me with no heater, air conditioning. We've been through a lot back when we were kids, and has been on this journey a long time. And I thank her. I also thank a couple of people, Melissa Bochensky, as she rose up through the party ranks. Melissa, thank you. And Joan Kesner has been with me for decades as well, serving in our city council member, and so many others. And Jeremy Zelder, congratulations on bringing it all together. Come on, let's give it up for Jeremy Zelder. And when he talks about party unity, something I know today is there, but yesterday was not, a long time ago. And what do I know about this party? I was a 16-year-old who grew up in Buffalo, down the road in Hamburg. And I was, at the time, people considered me kind of nerdy, because I would take an hour bus ride down. I paid my 50 cents for the bus fare, took a bus ride from downtown Hamburg all the way through Lackawanna and South Buffalo. I'd get dropped off at the Genesee building. That was the Democratic headquarters at its time. That was when Joe Kringle was the chair. And he was also the statewide chair. So everybody who wanted to run for any office had to come through those doors. I was the only girl in the room. I was the youngest by far. And that's when I fell in love with the Democratic Party, working on candidates' races since I was a teenager. So I know the battles that this party has been through for decades. And today we stand united as one voice. And I feel the power of that voice ripple from here all the way across the state of New York, united behind our candidacy, and I could not be prouder to be your governor. Could not be prouder. But I've told my story many times in churches and in places all over the state. But it always comes back to me talking about what I learned from Buffalo. And I want you to know the story that I have began here with shared experiences that many of you had. Yes, I was the granddaughter of very, very poor Irish immigrants, like many. It's a common story. The immigrants who came here in search of a better life. And my grandfather was able to leave the wheat fields of South Dakota, and grandparents were domestic servants in Chicago, and they heard about this place, a promised land, where there were jobs making steel, and you could live the American dream, raise your family up. And that place was Buffalo. And that's why my family's here. And Dad worked at the steel plant. Mom and Dad lived in the trailer park off Electric Avenue, Shamrock. I stopped by there. I go to the diner. We were there last week at the diner in that neighborhood because I never forgot where I came from. My family started there, but also the other influences on me. I was raised in what we called a social justice Catholic family. We didn't have a lot, but we often trekked into the city of Buffalo, my parents, trying to live the teachings of Christ that we were taught, and to visit the poor, go to the Perry Street projects. My mom helped start a center on the east side of Buffalo, helping lift people up, giving them a chance. We always were taking food and clothing to people. My parents helped start Haven House. We helped people in tough circumstances. My story began here with that sense of service to others. And that's in my DNA as it is in all of yours. That's why you're part of the Democratic Party, because we believe in those values of lifting people up. That's why we're here in this room today. And you think about that, and I also think about what happened during tough times in our country and how we always come back. I'm so blessed to live in a home sometimes, not very often. There's an executive residence in Albany. Franklin Roosevelt once lived there. He had to overcome so much with his own disabilities and trying to govern a state at a time when there was a crash at 29. He was still the governor of New York at the time. So I'm inspired by him, but I also know that that New Deal that changed America during its toughest, darkest days, the Great Depression, started when he was governor of New York. The policies, the thought that government could be a vehicle to lift people out of their circumstances, give people good paying jobs and security so their families don't have to live in poverty, and education. All these investments that we believe in as Democrats started back then from a governor. And I want you to know, I know these stories and these influences because that's what I'm prepared to do for all of you. We've worked hard for 14 months, but I know with a 4-year term and the opportunity to help us turn the page on this global pandemic and the inflation and all the stresses that people are under, people will look back at our time just as we look back at FDR's time and say, how did they do that? And it was the power of the people believing in the same values. That's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for those same democratic values that have lifted people up for decades. We fight for our seniors. We fight for our working men. We invest in our children. We create tons of jobs. We invest in health care. We take care of our people. It's that simple. That's what public service is all about. And I learned it here in this community. And I want you to know that. I've never lost that. And for those who don't know me across the state, I say this. You may not know me, but I know you. I've been there for 8 years as lieutenant governor. Worked there for years, working so hard for all of you, visiting places. And no, the lieutenant governor doesn't get headlines when she shows up. That's all right. I wasn't looking for headlines. I was just making a connection with people, letting them know they matter. And I want this community to know what I saw this community do after May 14th. And I heard the talk about it earlier. It's hard to think about again. But this community went through what we call a stress test. You know, what would happen when outside forces come in and agitate, when we see people trying to disrupt us and we try to heal ourselves after that massacre? And what I saw from the elected leaders you just heard from, there should be a book written about this. This was courage. This was a community coming together. This is a community saying no more. And we went back to Albany with Crystal Peoples-Stokes and Tim Kennedy and Sean Ryan and our whole delegation. And we said, no more violence. It must stop now. It must stop. Our lives are too precious. No 18-year-old should be able to get their hands on an assault weapon legally on their birthday. No more. We need the red flag laws toughened so you can find out if someone's going to do harm to others. You take the guns away before they do. There's so many things that we could do, and we did them. And now, that's why it's so incredible. that I'm running against an opponent. And you heard the whole litany. I don't need to go through it again. You did a brilliant job, team. Thank you. Makes me scared of him, too. But instead of uniting people, my opponent, Lee Zeldin's working so hard to keep people scared. And I'm working so hard to keep people safe. That's the difference. That's the difference. So, you don't believe the lies? You know me, but I need you now. I need you now. And yes, people talk about the historic significance of being the first woman governor, but I want you to know, I didn't come to make history. I didn't come here to make history. I came here to make a difference. But all I know is when my journey as governor concludes, and it will not be this week, way into the future, I want every woman in the state, every child, every teenager, every person born, even people like my new grandbaby, Sophia, little baby. I want them to know there are no barriers to them anymore. All the doors are swung wide open, even at the highest levels of government here in the state of New York. That's what I want to do. All the doors are open for all the young women, the girls, the babies, because that's what we're going to do with our election as well. So thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for lifting me up. I come here with a heart full of love for all of you as well. And I will not let you down, because you've never let me down. The work that you've been doing, the tireless work, the reaching everybody, pulling them out, saying this vote matters. It matters. And I'm so grateful for that effort. It is humbling for a daughter of Buffalo to be a governor of New York. And I thank every one of you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
The bills make me wanna shout, kick your heels up and shout, throw your hands up and shout, throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Shout it right now, baby. Say you will. Come on, come on. Say you will. Come on and shout. Say you will. Yeah. Buffalo's happening now. We're on the moon now. The bills are happening now. They're making it happen now. We got the spirit, a lot of spirit, yeah. We got the spirit. Just watch it happen now. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. The bills make me wanna shout. We the mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia.
You know who the beast in the AFC East? We gon' grind this thing out for 17 weeks, yeah. You hating on the Bills, then you way off. Talk is cheap, meet us in the playoffs. Game day, you know we going off. Got your team captain shaking at the coin toss. We say mafia, that mean family to me, cause we stand with the team, best fans in the league.
Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the mafia, Bills Mafia, Bills Mafia, we the mafia. Let's go Buffalo, let's go Buffalo, let's go Buffalo, let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo, let's go Buffalo, let's go Buffalo, let's go Mafia. The bills make me wanna shout, kick your heels up and shout, throw your hands up and shout, throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Shout it right now, baby. Say you will. Come on, come on. Say you will. come on and shout. Yeah, Buffalo's happening now. We're on the move now. The Bills are happening now. They're making it happen now. We got the spirit, a lot of spirit, yeah. We got the spirit. Just watch it happen now. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. The Bills make me wanna shout.
Mo, do you want to say thanks everybody for coming or something?
I got this feeling inside my